Hello, welcome to this recorded webinar from Career Pilot on introducing green jobs. My name is Alice, I work at Career Pilot and I've been working on this project, working alongside my colleagues at the West of England Careers Hub to support students in the West of England region to explore and find out more about green jobs and the routes into them. So today we're going to find out a little bit more about this project. I'm going to introduce you to some of the resources that we've developed, including 50 green jobs profiles with additional information to support students in the West of England region, supporting resources to be able to use in school. And then finally, at the end of the session, I will ask that you can just complete a very short survey so we'll find out a bit more about how you might like to use these resources and how useful you found this webinar. So as I say, we're part of a wider Green Futures Fund project that's been developed and run by the West of England Combined Authority, and it's to help the Combined Authority's ambition to be net zero carbon by 2030. That includes making sure that young people are aware of the new and exciting green job opportunities in the local area. So we're one of several projects that have been part of this wider project to support that ambition around reaching net zero. This project, specifically working with Career Pilot and the Careers Hub, aims to enable students to really connect their learning and their skills to the future opportunities in green jobs in the local area. We want to motivate and inspire those students to consider entering some of those green jobs and careers and make sure that they've got the information they need to find out about the different pathways into those green jobs, particularly those pathways that are available locally. This has great benefits for schools in terms of supporting the wider careers strategy, including some of the Gatsby benchmarks, benchmark 2 around LMI, benchmark 3 around using differentiated resources to meet the needs of each student, and then benchmark 4, which is showing how we can use different resources to support talking about careers across the curriculum. We have specific support for use in PSHE as well as other subjects. So just to give you a little bit of context to this, I think we're all very aware of the government's commitment to achieving net zero emissions by 2050. This is going to result in lots of change across the economy, including decarbonisation of buildings and transport, as well as just wider industry. And it could result in a huge number of jobs. You can see here a quote that's come from a recent report saying there could be as many as 694,000 direct green jobs involved in the low carbon industry by 2030, rising to 1.9 million by 2050. So a really significant shift in the careers landscape that we need to be aware of and supporting young people to know more about. In terms of how this looks regionally, the Combined Authority in the West of England has a particularly ambitious target of reaching net zero by 2030. So it's obviously ahead of the wider UK target. And this means that in the local area, green jobs will need to increase by over 45,000 in order to reach those targets by 2030. So some really significant job opportunities that are going to be arising for young people. The West of England Combined Authority has created a regional climate action plan, which has identified 5 priority areas that will be a focus for the local area. So we've got nature recovery, which is really all about ensuring that there is a protection and a development of habitats to support biodiversity across the region. There's development within low carbon transport, within low carbon buildings and places. This includes retrofitting existing buildings to make them more energy efficient, as well as designing the buildings and places of the future that fit with this net zero target. We're also going to be having a focus on renewable energy, offshore wind, as well as solar across the region. And lastly, that wider low carbon business, which could include green economy and lots of different areas of the various different industry sectors in terms of thinking about how they could be more green and help to reach that net zero target. So as a result of this, Career Pilot has been working really closely with the Careers Hub to identify a range of green jobs and to tag those on Career Pilot. So we have tagged 50 green jobs that link into those 5 priority areas that I've just mentioned. And students can search these up really easily on Career Pilot. We've then also developed a set of resources that schools can use to support talking about those green jobs. So there are posters, images, and lesson activities. And then there's also a wider sort of general lesson to introduce the green agenda, why it's important to be green, what we can do as individuals, both within our working lives, within any job role, and then also introducing some of these green job roles that we're highlighting within the local region. So as I say, we've identified these 50 green jobs that help to support those 5 priority areas within the regional climate action and nature recovery plan. So they cover off each of those areas, and there's a whole range of different jobs that have been identified on Career Pilot. Students can have a look at these jobs by searching for them within the Green Jobs search tool within our job section. If they are interested in one of the particular jobs, they can just search it by job title through our normal job search. And when those jobs come up, you'll be able to see that they've been tagged as green jobs. When a student then opens one of those career job profiles, they'll be able to find out more about them. So the usual job profile information is there, but you can see that it's been tagged as being a green job at the top. But as normal, they can find out about the salary and the working hours, find out whether it's predicted to grow across the whole of the UK. They can then dig in to find out a bit more about that job, what some of the day-to-day tasks might be, so they can really learn a bit more about jobs they might not have heard about before and find out what they would actually be doing as part of that job. They can find out about the different routes into that job, just generally, if they're interested, just to find out about university courses, college courses, apprenticeships that they might want to consider to go into that role. They can also search to see how many people are currently working within that particular job by region, which is really interesting and can vary quite a lot from job to job. And then they can have a look at actual job vacancies that are currently available. Quite interesting to have a look at the different employers in the local area and perhaps look at some of the salaries that have been offered and what some of the criteria and requirements are for those roles. So as you can see at the bottom, we've then added to the 50 tagged jobs some additional information that's specific to the west of England. So this is the really useful local LMI that students can then access to find out about local opportunities specifically. So when they click to open this West of England green job information, first of all, it explains how this particular job addresses the impacts of climate change and helps protect wildlife and nature in the West of England. So really useful, just a few lines that just kind of explains what the role of this job is as part of that wider climate plan. They can then see, if they're interested in that role, the different routes that they could take to get there locally. So they can find out about examples of post-16 courses they could study at local schools or colleges. They could have a look at examples of apprenticeships they might be able to take with local employers. And there's an apprenticeship search there where they can actually have a local opportunities that are currently available. And then also there are examples of post-18 courses that they could study with local providers. And we've name-checked some specific courses and providers there just to give some real-life and relevant examples of those courses in the local area. We've also just added in a few examples of local employers. They might be national employers that have local offices, or they might be more regional employers, but just to give a little bit of a taste of the types of employers that are looking for these particular jobs in the future. Students can also have a look at some of the video stories related to that job. So there's some really good examples of people talking about a day in the life of, or the different routes that they took to get into those jobs. And just below that as well, there's also a bit of flavour of the different skills that are required for getting into that job. So as well as having information about the different routes in and qualifications that are required, there's also some information about the different skills that you may need for that job. And then students might want to have a look and see how their own skills compare with that. So they could have a look at the skills profile that's within the main part of the website. When they go to Start With You, there's a skills profile button there. And that's a short quiz that they can complete to identify their own skills, which then gives them a skills profile, which they can then compare with a job they might be interested in. So it's a really quick and easy way to sort of see what skills they might want to develop further if it's a job that they're particularly interested in. So in order to talk about all the 50 jobs across the school and to highlight those 50 jobs, we've created a few resources that you can get up and around in different areas of your school. So we've got some posters here which show all 50 jobs and how they fit into the different 5 priority areas. And there's a QR code there for students to then open up on their mobile phones, the green job search on Career Pilot, so they can have a look at any of those job profiles from that search bar. We've also created a Green Jobs interactive PDF. So this can be sent out to your school community, and all of the jobs are listed on here, all 50 of them, again, against the 5 priority areas. And you can click on any of those job titles and it will take you straight through to the relevant jobs profile to find out more about it. So really useful interactive PDF. In addition to that, we've got 20 green hot jobs posters. So we've taken 20 of the 50 jobs and turned them into posters with some top line LMI about that particular job title. So you can find out about routes in, how much it's set to grow by, what sort of salary there will be. And you can see, again, we've included a QR code there. So students can, if they're interested in that particular job, they can open up the actual job profile on their phone to find out even more detail, including the regional information that we've added to those job profiles. These posters are also available as digital images as well, because we know some schools like to display things via a digital display, and they can also be used for social media as well. So if you want to have like a job of the week or something like that, you're very welcome to use these images and to get them out via any social media channels to your wider school community. I mentioned as well there's a Green Jobs lesson and quiz. So that could be delivered by a member of your staff to one of their classes. It's really aimed at sort of around about year 10, and it's a really good way of introducing the green agenda, introducing ways of being green in any work, and then introducing some of these green jobs and give students a chance to explore some of the job profiles as part of the lesson. There's also short quiz, as I mentioned, that students can complete at the end of the lesson. So that's, again, a really good little knowledge quiz to see about how much more they know about being green, and it gives them a little rating of how green they are as a frog. We've also developed some resources for SEND students. So these may be useful to use in mainstream settings as well as in SEND settings. And they're really accessible. They introduce the idea of what it means to be green, how to be green as an individual, and how to be green in your working lives. So hopefully those are useful resources that you can share with colleagues. I'm just flagging as well here that as part of personal guidance sessions as careers advisors, obviously we've just mentioned a lot about the different LMI that you can access via the job profiles. And most of the time you'll be looking for those jobs through the job section of Career Pilot. We do also have a tool for searching for jobs via strengths and values. That's part of the job section of Career Pilot. And there are a couple of values just to flag up here that might be useful to discuss with students. So if students are interested in preventing climate change or indeed protecting nature, there's lots of information there about those particular values and the different careers that would help to support those values. So students can find out more about how to take that further, that interest further, and what different green jobs they might consider that would sit with that particular value that they hold. We also have information on the Advisor Zone. So there's some general information about green jobs across the UK, and then some specific information about green jobs within the west of England, and just mention all the resources that I've mentioned here in this webinar. So you can see that on the Advisor Zone if you wanted to share that with any of your colleagues. And we also have added some information on the Parent Zone as well. So we talked to the parents about what jobs are set to grow in the future, highlighting some of the green jobs that we've mentioned within this project. So, as you see, there's lots there that you can use as part of your one-to-one guidance session with students, and as well more widely across the school. So mainly as careers advisors, the regional information that's been added to the 50 green jobs would be obviously something that you can use in one-to-one personal guidance sessions with students that are interested in those particular job areas. So all of those, as you can see, can be accessed via the job section, via the green job search, or by searching for those specific jobs. We've got all of the resources, as mentioned, that you can use within school, so posters, images, linked lesson activities, that can be used to highlight some of those jobs across the curriculum. And we've also got that lesson that could be delivered as well. If you have the lesson time, particularly around year 10, that would be a great one to really introduce the whole idea about how to be green and to introduce some of the green jobs that we've just mentioned. So lots of resources there. All of these resources will be sent out to you having watched this webinar. I'm going to ask if you could complete a survey that we send out alongside this recorded webinar. So this has been a 15-minute webinar, and the survey just takes 3 minutes to complete. Once you complete that just gives a bit of an idea for us on how you intend to use the resources and how useful you found the session. And then we will send you all of the links to all of the resources. So then you can use them with your students over the coming weeks and indeed months. So it'd be really super helpful for us if you can complete the survey, because this will help us to measure the impact of the project. And as I say, once that's completed, we'll send you out all of the links to the resources, which you can access freely and share with your colleagues. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you found this useful, and I hope it's going to be great to support your students to find out more about all the exciting green job opportunities in the local area. Thank you. Bye.